All right, let's dive into something you've probably felt but maybe couldn't quite name. We're going to deconstruct a communication pattern that isn't just about winning an argument. No, it's designed to fundamentally alter your perception of reality itself. It's called strategic contradictions. And trust me, understanding how this works is absolutely crucial for protecting your own sense of what's real.
And this quote right here, it just gets right to the heart of it. The goal isn't to sell you on a single lie. It's much bigger than that. It's to exhaust you so much that you stop believing in the very concept of truth. We normally assume communication is about sharing information, right? But in these high-pressure dynamics, your own biological drive for logic gets turned against you. It becomes this psychological meat grinder that just shreds your ability to trust what you see and hear.
And that leads us to this core paradox the source material calls abrasive ambiguity, and it's a tough one to wrap your head around because it's so counterintuitive. It means your best qualities, your desire for fairness, your need for things to just make sense, those become the very tools used against you. Your drive to find a predictable, fair world is turned into the very engine of your own psychological burnout. So have you ever been there? You point out a really clear contradiction, something that is just black and white, and somehow the conversation ends with you feeling like you're the one who's being irrational or aggressive. You say A, they say B. You point out that just yesterday they said A, and all of a sudden the whole discussion is about your tone or your bad memory or how you just can't handle complexity. This is the exact question we are going to unpack. Now, the first thing you have to realize is this is not a personal failure. This isn't about you not being smart enough to follow along. What we're looking at here is a well-documented communication pattern. It's a trap, and it's designed to nudge your brain step by step into a state of total confusion, where you doubt everything you perceive.
At the absolute core of this trap is something called double-bind communication. You get hit with conflicting messages where no matter what you do, you're wrong. It's a classic no-win situation, and what it does is it basically paralyzes the logical part of your brain. You see this in toxic workplaces where the rules seem to change every single day, or in family dynamics where you're told, be open with me, and then you're punished the second you actually are.
And living in this dynamic creates two really distinct internal experiences. The first is something called linguistic vertigo. It's a feeling of actual physical dizziness as your brain just struggles to hold two opposing ideas at once. And the second is the logic hook. Oh, this is the trap of your own good nature. It's the belief that, hey, if I can just explain this inconsistency clearly enough, then of course the other person will have to admit it. But here's the thing. In this dynamic, that basic premise is completely false.
So what's the point of all this? Well, the psychological goal is to completely exhaust your brain's executive function, the part that handles reasoning and decision-making. The whole process trains your brain to just surrender, to stop trusting its own senses, simply to get a moment of peace, what the source here calls executive rest. The internal conflict becomes so painful that just agreeing with the chaos feels like a sweet relief. And that's how you go from being a sovereign individual to what's called a narrative subject, always looking to the controller for their latest version of the truth. And over time, this leads to a state of neurological attrition. This is a really critical concept. It's that point where you're so mentally worn down from trying to track a story that's constantly changing, you just stop noticing the red flags. You literally don't have the mental energy, the fuel to keep up anymore. And this is when a person starts to feel clumsy or stupid, effectively having their own intelligence turned against them. Which brings us to a really crucial realization. The confusion you feel, it is not an accident. It's not a byproduct. As this quote puts it so powerfully, it's a social fortress used as a cage for your sanity. It is deliberately built to keep you locked in a state of self-doubt.
Okay, so if this is a deliberate architecture, a cage, well, how is it built? In this next part, we're going to deconstruct the systematic three-step pattern that is used to create and maintain this cycle of confusion. And the pattern breaks down into these three stages: Schrödinger's truth, the gaslight pivot, and the compliance lock. Let's dig into each one. So, the cycle kicks off with what's called Schrödinger's truth. This is where the controller holds two totally contradictory positions at the exact same time. Like, they might say they value honesty above all else, but then constantly lie. This isn't just simple hypocrisy, okay? It's a strategic move. It's designed to test your tolerance for chaos and to keep you perpetually off balance, always trying to solve an equation that has no answer. Now, when you eventually point out the contradiction from step one, which you will because you're a logical person, the pattern immediately shifts to step two,
the gaslight pivot. This is where reality is just flatly denied. The controller uses what's called a linguistic redaction, a phrase like, "I never said that," or "you're twisting my words." And this move is designed specifically to trigger your own cognitive dissonance, that gut-wrenching, uncomfortable feeling you get when your beliefs and reality just don't line up. You can't help but wonder, wait, is my memory wrong? Did I imagine that? And all of this leads to the final critical step, the compliance lock. By now, your brain is just fried from the chaos of step 1 and the self-doubt of step 2. It is biologically desperate for consistency, for an end to the conflict. And at this exact moment of maximum exhaustion, the controller offers up a unified explanation, a brand new narrative that magically resolves the contradiction. And because you are so desperate for relief, you grab onto it. And the controller then uses your acceptance of their story as proof that you were the unstable one all along. You see the trap? Their chaos created your exhaustion, which then locked in your compliant. So we've seen how this works, right? The mechanics of it. But why? What is the ultimate goal here? Because it's clearly not about winning a single argument. As we're about to see, it's about gaining total control over reality itself. This slide just lays out the core conflict perfectly. You're essentially playing two completely different games. On one side, you've got the controller's motivation to get what the source calls a total interpretive monopoly. I mean, if they can break the very concept of objective truth, they gain absolute power. You can never hold them accountable if the rules of reality can be rewritten from moment to moment. And on the other side, you have the target's vulnerability, a deep-seated need for logical symmetry. This is someone who values being fair and finding a logical answer more than they value being certain in their own perception. And that mismatch, that's the engine that drives this entire dynamic. And this whole exploitation works because of a simple biological fact: ambiguity intolerance. Our brains are hardwired prediction machines. It is physically stressful for us to live in a world where the rules are constantly and unpredictably changing. It's a survival mechanism, right? Well, this dynamic weaponizes that fundamental need, creating immense psychological pressure by making your world feel totally and completely unsafe. Okay, so we have deconstructed the trap. We've been in the dark a little bit, but now for the most important part, let's talk about building your defense. This section is all about moving from that manufactured confusion to a place of earned clarity. And here's the key. The defense isn't about arguing better or finding that one perfect logical comeback. No, it's about shifting your focus inward and creating tools for your own awareness. There are two primary tools here: the consistency audit and external anchor awareness. And notice, these are tools for description, not confrontation. Their purpose is simply to strengthen your own self-understanding. So, how do you actually use these? Well, the consistency audit is an internal process. You take a step back and you ask yourself, honestly, is there actual reciprocity here? Or is this claim of complexity just a cover for what is basically weaponized noise? The external anchor is more concrete. It means you create an objective record of events, something that exists outside your own memory. This could be a truth journal, where you simply write down what was said and when it was said. This creates a record that cannot be gaslit. It cannot be manipulated or pivoted away from. It's your data. And this is the thought that breaks the entire cycle. This is the moment of liberation. I don't need them to admit the contradiction for the contradiction to be real. It's a statement of what you might call perceptual sovereignty. You are decoupling your sense of reality from their approval. The inconsistency is real, whether they ever admit it or not. So, after all of this analysis, what's the single most important thing to walk away with? It really all boils down to one simple, powerful idea. The core takeaway is this: you have to remember that feeling of being slow or confused or irrational. That is not a reflection of your intelligence. You are not failing to understand. You are being intentionally confused, and reframing the experience that way is everything. It shifts the problem from some internal failure, what's wrong with me, to an external action, what is being done to me. And that recognition, right there, that is the key that unlocks the cage. Your mind is your own territory. Awareness is your primary defense against someone else's chaos. So the final call to action is simple. Believe the data you collect. Hold the line on your own perception. And above all else, trust your eyes. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.